This is Elliot Wave Sage. Let's do a quick market update. Like always, none of this is financial advice. Always do what's best for you. Just use this for your education and entertainment purposes only. So the market, I think we started to try to reverse and start our journey lower. I think still caution's needed in this turn-in an inflection point that we find ourselves in. I believe the market is ready to take its next leg lower, and there's a lot of signs that that will happen, and then you may have a more viable dip opportunity. So Dow Jones for right now, I'm calling it a 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get a fifth wave, and then we'll get a pretty big relief rally out of that, possibly back up to this trend line. And again, this could take a while to play out. It may, you know, take a lot of time. But then whenever this finishes, you get a pretty big drop or crash. That's what I'm looking for. The Dow Jones futures already hit the sell area, and then it hit it again, and it's really struggling. It does look like it's turning down in 5. The SPY is a tough count. We could call this Y finished. I think you can almost, I would say, safe to do it, but we don't have enough strength yet in this bounce. But this is one possible path down to 480, and then we pump back up to 439, and we hit this sell area, resistance line, kind of a downtrend line, and we reverse here. So maybe we get some early excitement tomorrow morning, and then it reverses at some point. That's just one possibility. There's many other possibilities in this count here. There's even the ABC for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for like a leading diagonal down, where you only get to about 500 SPY in that case. So we don't really know, but if we get that count, then we know the bounce will probably come back up maybe between 544 or so, and then it would crash. So we don't know but I don't like buying it here, and I do believe the better short setup is in the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's approaching a sell area right on this resistance area, as well as the downtrend. This downtrend did produce a great sell. I believe this will produce another great sell-in opportunity for technology. If it can do it, there is always a chance it's already peaked. So we don't know for sure. This, I would say, is a connector for this move. So that should drop us considerably down to 380 before we would have a pretty big bounce where we should fail again. There's, could you call this like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I really can't do that. And then I can't call this as an ABC and an ABC with a small little dip to 410, only because this bounce has been so strong. It's, I think, really reset the whole cycle, as you can see here. So I believe it's a connector. But either way, we'll watch it. IWM struggling to even try to do the double correction higher. I do have this here just in case at 212, but it looks like to me like the Dow, it just wants to kind of start its journey lower. The Nasdaq futures could have a little more upside. The ES a little bit more. The Russell looks like, we did not break that high here, so we could still be in a 1-2 again. Looks like we could be starting to go down in wave 3 of some kind in the Russell. And Hang Seng looks like B could push up just a little bit more. Looks like we have like a 1, 2, 3. Let's see here. Call this in 3. So like a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We need, yeah. So probably you think it could go a little bit higher, I'm thinking, and then we should drop. Nikkei is kind of, looks like we did take this high out. So as you can see, this is probably going to be too big for the 2, but it's technically Still could be a 1-2-1-2 as long as we're below this RSI pivot and the 4-hour stays below that. So for now, we'll just keep it the way it is labeled for now. But there's really no setup here. The other setup is this is some kind of ABC, and this is an ABC. We come up a little bit higher, and then we take another swing down. Bitcoin is, acting very erratic. They're trying to save it at all costs, and every time it comes to sell area, just getting reject it. It's trying to kind of generate a short squeeze, but the people trying to do that have failed. Could they be successful tonight? It's possible. If so, the X will continue higher. But so far they have not had success in it. And again, this is a very aggressive count on the bearish side. We could still be in this degree 2 or even this one. And then oil was a surprise move today. Instead of a 1-2-1-2 pattern, you would have sold that 2 at 75. You would have been stopped out right there. Very small loss, and then it turned into this bigger wave 2, which I warned about as a possibility last week, that you could see this kind of pump. And we could even go up to $82, even as high as 84, just as long as we're below this peak. Now, what happens if we break that peak? Then the X wave is going to extend, and this is pattern goes back into an A, B, and then C is 1-2-1-2. I'm sorry, 1-2-3-4-5, and we'd be looking for like $120 oil. In that situation, negating the triangle. But for right now, there's really no reason to think that, and it's pretty much a risk divergence, so this C should be finished if this is the count at any moment. Silver looks like it wants to go just a little bit higher. Again, this could still be wave 5, and it extends in a 1-2-3-4-5, or more bearish case, it's a 1-2-1-2-1-2, and it's just a crash. Gold just needs to make one more high for the major cycle top for wave 3, and then that will give us a pullback in wave 4, similar to what we saw in wave 2 here. This wave 2 lasted almost, looks like it went from May to October, so that looks like you're looking at something around 5 months of a correction, or 4 to 5 months once this finishes, the sequence finishes, and should finish soon. Dollar index should be pushing higher. Japanese yen is very interesting trade. Normally you have 3, a connector, you would come up in 3, and should come up pretty high for yen weakness, risk on, buy, right? Carry trade back on. But when you really look at the RSI pump. So this actually could have peaked already and just been a very truncated, shallow. So maybe they were panicking, trying to strengthen the yen today while they saw oil go through the roof, which priced in yen must be astronomical. So they're probably panicking here. Now, if we do come higher, then we could actually be in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for A, B, C. So we don't know exactly what we're going to get, but right now the danger is the yen could be in a whole new cycle to strengthen, taking it all the way down to 128. And if this crashed the market here, this will do the same thing if that plays out. Like I said, I did show you another count that you have to keep in mind. The 10-year I did top like we had here. It looks like it's in a 1-2, ready for wave 3. Hopefully that's risk off, downside in the market. So is the 20-year. VIX broke out of its wedge today after trying to do a little shakeout here, and now we're trying to break out. and this will just take time to build out. But eventually see the VIX at least somewhere here. And then, of course, if it's a crash scenario, we'll be above this peak. I don't know where we'll be with, but I think the VIX is a good trade. It should come back somewhere here. You have this gap here. I bet that gap will fill. Then that's all the market. We'll go to big cap tech. Apple looks like it hit the sell area today. It got rejected, which it should have. And its next leg lower may have started here. And that would take us down to 178 potential buy opportunity. Amazon could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up and then big drop, or 1, 2, 1, 2. We don't know. Facebook could go a little bit higher as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then make its peak in wave B for its next wave down. Netflix, kind of the same thing, down. Tesla should be finishing this triangle pretty soon for its next leg lower. AMD, if it could make another pump to 145, that could be a short opportunity. We just don't know. It also could be finished, and then you have another 1, 2. Microsoft could make another pump back up to 420. Or it could be finished. We just don't know. We'll show an area where it could turn here at 421.61. Then NVIDIA, here it morphed. So we were thinking a triangle, but then just morphed to a classic three-wave move. So that would get you to a target of 115.27. For another sell opportunity for this next leg lower. The projected target, if it makes it there, would be a lot lower than people think, and that's what happens because too many people bought the dip, reset the cycle, so now the $80 target goes even lower, back down here. If that's where it reverses, because I believe we've reset the whole cycle. So what's essentially happened in the market is instead of being able to just kind of quickly finish the correction, the buyers have kind of thrown everything they got at it to keep the market alive. But in doing so, if we break this low, then it will create a whole new washout cycle, taking it lower than it would have normally needed to. And that's kind of what this chart is saying. All right, so that's all I'm going to talk about today in my market update. So it's a very quick update, guys. We could be on a bit verge of either a historic crash, a very large correction, or a small dip for 5, and we come up, right, and come up and then crash later in September. But all those scenarios, I don't say, oh, it's just going to go to new highs. I don't really think that's going to happen before we take another leg lower. So that's how I look at it. The game plan is, again, not what should I be buying, what should I be shorting, and what should I be shorting. Maybe you should have bought the VIX, Friday, bought it this morning. I mean, God, they're so complacent today. Think about it. We're about to go into war potentially with the Middle East. It could lead to World War III with one miscalculation. And all you got is a VIX of 20, that's mass complacency. Let me tell you what will happen with the VIX if bombs start going off and let's say an aircraft carrier gets sunk, nuclear bomb blows up, like it gets out of hand fast, out of control. You think the VIX will be at 20? It's going to be, it will open up here, 80, maybe even higher, open. UVIX will probably open at not at 43, you'll probably open near 120. I'm just saying, guys, that's the level of complacency in the market right now. It's extreme. The VIX is telling you, if people are telling you everyone's bearish, you should buy it, this is not bearish, guys. No one's bearish at a VIX 20. Now, VIX 60, yeah, that's people pretty bearish there. Here they're not. They went all in. Somebody went all in again with their stack. It may not be your retail traders. They may have been smart enough to get out. It may be somebody that can't afford the market to go down, institution, investment houses, even central banks, for all we know, to keep the cycle alive, to keep the incumbent president and administration like pressure off of them. You know, whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to save this market, but they're failing. The buyers, the sellers are taking control of the market, and these pumps just aren't as effective as they used to be. That's what's happened here. These pumps should have generated, if there was the market 12 months ago, this would have, all this pressure would have pushed the market, but it can't do it. There's not enough money there's not enough shorts to squeeze, and there's no more money that's willing to buy. So the market's stuck, and it's going to turn down. So the technicals, the ideal technical sell would be at 458, but like I said, we could have topped. We'll know soon enough. And if we do get a major war where there's heavy losses, unthinkable losses on both sides, could you imagine what it would look like on TV? American soldiers dead because of Iran. Think about that. That's what do you think? You think the VIX is just going to be chilling at 17? There'll be so much panic in the market, guys, you won't even understand and comprehend. It'll be insane. You'll look back and say, I should have bought the VIX and UVIX because, and then this reminds me of when COVID was in China and everyone was so complacent, and I was able to load up max short in February before the crash in March, and I'm like saying the same thing I'm saying now. It's so obvious what's happening. So this war, like, unless you believe it's just going to be a fizzle out nothing burger, which is what I think this is what the market's trying to say, then this is probably one of the easiest trades you'll ever have in your life. All right, guys, that's all I got. We'll see. It could be a historic week and a pretty nasty week of selling again. All right, bye.